Chase Young, this was the big story, right? Because it was like Montez Sweat, and we were like, oh, they're done, the whole thing. The Chase Young thing, I think, is a very good move for the Commanders. I don't want to take it from the Commanders' side. I just want to talk about San Francisco's side. Who is Chase Young? Okay, I think this is the first question. I've said this before. I think when he was young, people overrated him. And 3 years later, whatever it is, it's been a long 3-4 years, I think he's underrated. Okay? And the injuries, that sort of thing, you can't control that stuff. He's got like 15, 16 sacks on his career. But when I watch the guy, especially now, I feel like he's figuring some things out in pass rush. And I had no idea that he was in top 5 in pressures in the league. He's got 40 to this point. We're at the halfway mark or so, the 48th percentile mark or whatever.
Damn 17
all
game
fucked
schedule
up,
made
dude.
everything
Now these
hard.
guys are going to get more pressures than me. We're going to have to be like, oh, fuck. We had one more game. But Chase Young is a pressure machine right now. And I think that really speaks to the fact that he's winning a lot. You see that in his pass rush win rate. I don't think it's just a product of being on that D-line. I think that can help. But he's going to another D-line that's supposed to be pretty good. And so I really like San Francisco saying, hey, we have a problem. We're going to extinguish this fire. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at it, right? We go out and we get Randy Gregory. It's like a flyer. Okay, now we've actually got to go make a move that we put some equity into it if we want to get a return. And the move they make is sending a 3 over that they got that was a conditional 3 originally. It's one of those Rooney Rule minority hire picks that you get if you get somebody promoted. And forgive me if I'm butchering it, but the bottom line is D'Amico leaving gave them a 3. Okay? They know they have that 3. They don't know what they want to do with it. But, you know, you think about it like when I win a bet, I'm like, I'm going to do something fucked up, like a parlay with this house money, right? Yeah. Like, that's the way I think. They're like, I've got this 3 sitting in my back pocket. Nick Bosa's out there, 9 pressures in the first half. Nobody else is winning. You know, Cincinnati picked us apart. What's going to be different about that matchup if you do nothing come the Super Bowl or you play, you know, the Cowboys again and it looks different, or the Eagles? You're trying to make a run. And so sending a 3 over that you didn't have a year ago for a guy like Chase Young, who's playing like a real plus right now in the NFL. And I think also, like, you can't ignore the factor of when a guy gets traded, sometimes you don't want to be somewhere. You know, if he doesn't have a no trade clause, you get shipped somewhere shitty. I always tell the story about Michael Brockers. Pretty funny. He was in my group text for the Rams D-line. We were lighting his ass up because when Jared Goff got traded, he said something like, and Matt Stafford came to L.A., he was like, great, we got a real quarterback. And I don't think he meant it like that necessarily, but a lot of truth just kind of comes out, or it's said in jest. And obviously, it wasn't the most respectful comment towards Jared Goff, but I don't think he meant it to be disrespectful. A day later, his ass was shipped to Detroit. And in our group text, there was no mercy. I mean, I've seen this group text gang up on probably the biggest He-Man on the planet, the biggest alpha on the planet, Aaron Donald, for shedding a single tear after a playoff football loss or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I'm like, give the guy a day. I stayed out of that one. But the Brock thing, that's an example of a guy that probably didn't want to go to Detroit and probably ended up pretty happy to be there because it was a great place to play with Dan Campbell and that sort of thing. But
that's probably like what PJ Tucker felt like this morning. He sees, oh, James Harden's traded. He's finally gone. Yes. Yeah. Oh, shit. I got traded too.
You're on the same PJ. Did they get traded to the same place?
Yeah.
Worst plane ride. PJ Tucker. He's like, fuck, man. I love PJ Tucker. I hate the fact that he had to go with James, you know? But this could be one of these situations with Chase Young because he's up, right? Like, it's the same thing as Montez in Chicago. You have to make a decision on whether or not you want to pay this guy. You can worry about that later. That's what I would do. I wouldn't sign him to a big deal right now. And a lot of times, like these trades, you kind of get these deals done. They're not like quite NBA sign and trade things, but like you'll have a deal talked about and it's in good faith. And then they put the pen to paper when it gets done. I think if you're San Francisco, you want to be careful. I'm not comparing it to the D Ford trade. And I like D Ford. D Ford at one point was a very good rusher, and he had 13, I think, in Kansas City. Honestly, if D Ford doesn't jump off sides on that pick that went to, I forget who it went to, but the AFC Championship. This is one of the biggest hidden like Bill Buckner situations in the NFL. Pats don't win a ring that year. Aiden's in here. Aiden's a Pats fan.
Yeah, 2018 AFC Championship.
Brady's driving to win that game.
Reverse the Charvarius Ward interception that would have sealed the game.
The Ward interception. And the Ward interception would have sealed the game, but he's just offsides. And if it's not for that, I think he's a Super Bowl champion in Kansas City. He's a fucking superstar there. They love him. But how quickly things can turn. And then the next year, he's got to play San Francisco in the Super Bowl. He's got to play Kansas City in the Super Bowl once he gets shipped to San Francisco. So D Ford gets shipped to San Francisco. A week later, they signed him to like a 5-year, $87 million deal, which to me seems like they kind of knew what they had to do to make that trade. They get him to this long-term deal. He's productive. That Super Bowl year, he has 6-7 sacks. For a guy who's just mostly playing third down, that's a tremendous return on investment just when it comes to like on the field. And when you're burning cash when you try to win a Super Bowl, you're not worried about down the line, but eventually down the line came and he wasn't healthy. And so like they were trying to get out of that deal, ended up retiring. He hasn't been in the league for a couple of years because he was hurt. And so like I guess the cautionary tale to me is like you have a guy with actual durability issues. Like I'm not saying Chase is going to get hurt again, but you've got a guy who's missed a lot of games. You're trading for him. Make it a rental with a chance to own. You know, like give yourself on the back end the flexibility to say, hey, maybe not for me. Maybe this marriage wasn't for us. Maybe this didn't make Nick Bosa that much more productive this year. Maybe it didn't really help our defense. Maybe we lost in the first fucking round of the playoffs and Chase has just been okay. At that point, you let him walk and go make a boatload of money because he will. Or maybe he loves it there. And I can guarantee you this, if you want Chase Young back in the offseason, he will want to be a 49er. Because if you want Chase Young back, that means the defense took the next step. That means he's been productive. That means he's playing opposite Nick Bosa, a guy from Ohio State who he absolutely loves and looks up to, from what I understand. He's with Hargrave. He's with Armstead. He's with that group of deep ends, you know, whether it takes pressure off Drake Jackson. It takes pressure off Randy Gregory. It takes pressure off these guys who are supposed to be Robins, but they're like the Penguin. You know, like I need a Robin for Nick Bosa, right? No disrespect. I'm just doing the Batman thing. If he can be the Robin, everybody else gets better. And those pressures for Nick Bosa turn into sacks because he's moving the platform. And I think you'll see the results. If I had to guess, this is going to help them. If he can stay healthy, this is going to help them, and you just avoid the D Ford situation. Hey, fuck, by the time you hear this tomorrow morning, they might have already signed him to a 5-year deal. I would think it would be unwise, okay? And just because you have the option to wait and see. And again, what I said is like, this guy's been going to work every day in Landover, Maryland. No offense. But he's in San Jose hanging out with tech bros right now and playing with Nick Bosa. It's fucking 75 and sunny. I was looking at those shots as I was hemorrhaging cash Sunday of San Jose, some vacant streets, just top of a bunch of white buildings. I was like, I want to be there. Let's all move to San Francisco and do the operation there. That's what sunshine in November feels like. And so, like, I can't imagine Chase Young being like, yeah, I want to go sign with, I don't know, pick a miserable franchise because they paid him a bunch of money.
The Browns.
Well, I mean, there is something to signing with the Browns right now, but that would have been my answer, but they're actually good. I don't want to go sign with fucking Green Bay right now to rush opposite Rashawn Gary. Take that, for example. I don't know. There's power in playing in San Francisco. There's power in having Nick Bosa. There's leverage in having this defense. It's fucking cool to be on the Niners, man, right now. So I would just let it work itself out, see what happens, and then sign him if you want to sign him. He's going to want to be there if you want him to be there. I think they look at this a little bit like the Von Miller trade. You know, you guys mentioned that coming into this show is like the Von Miller trade was a huge difference in why they won that Super Bowl. This could be a kind of catalyst with flexibility on the back end to have that guy on your team for longer. Frank Clark, we talked about Frank Clark. Hey, little things like I can remember in 2018, and this is a great point. Me and Nolan were talking about this earlier. The way I think about making a trade, and it's almost, I feel like we had this conversation in the Eagles locker room. I forget what they gave up for Golden Tate. Like,
I think it was like a 3.
A 3 or a 4. And it was 2018. We were trying to defend the title, and we needed another guy. We needed that kind of guy. And, you know, clutch, catch the ball at the sticks kind of guy, tough guy. It was for a 3. And Golden Tate came in, and he helped us. And more than anything, he kind of won us that Chicago game. Like, that's a playoff game. What is a playoff game worth to you as a GM? To me, it'd be worth, I don't know, a 2, a 3.
I was going to say second round pick, yeah.
If you know that you're going to win a playoff game because of somebody, and hey, Howie's taken shots before, some that I thought would work out and didn't work out, the Robert Quinn trade. I feel like people basically thought I made that happen. I didn't make it happen. I just love the guy. I love the Eagles, and I was super happy it happened. Who would have thought 2 years removed from 20 sacks in Chicago on a bad team that he wouldn't be able to get on the field and make plays for the Eagles? It didn't work out, but it was worth taking a shot at, you know, it was a 4, right?
Low risk, high upside move.
I thought he might be the guy to take the ball off somebody in the playoffs in the fourth quarter. And at that point, it's worth it. So I really like this move for San Francisco. I really do. And I understand, at least from a Josh Harris perspective, you're the process guy. You like stacking picks. And next year, we talked about this, you're probably going to have a new head coach. And that new head coach is going to want capital to make a decision. I mean, you can't have the new coach walk in the door and be like, hey, we got Chicken Man here for you. You check out some of the Eagles tape. I love Sam Howell, but you can't expect the next head coach to, so it's nice to have the flexibility. I don't hate this move.